Welcome to the She Will Shine podcast, where we bring you the real stories of female business owners. My name is Danielle Price and I'm the founder of She Will Shine, a supportive business network for women. It's time to give a voice to women in business and discover their journey.
Hi everyone and welcome to the She Will Shine podcast. Today we have a lovely lady here with us. Hi Lee, how are you?
Good, thank you, Danielle.
So the lovely Lee Doherty is an online business manager and strategist leading an OBM and VA team at Admin & Co. Her team reviews, then manages, then does the tasks in your business to create space and time for your business to grow. So Lee, you're one of our She Will Shine members, and recently I put a post out in our Facebook group asking what we did in our former lives. And your response was a long one.
So it was long because I am a bit long in the tooth. I'm 50 this year and I'm proud to say I'm 50. I mean, I have, had girlfriends who have passed away, all that type of stuff, I'm happy to be the right side of the grass. Lily wasn't like right side of the grass last year. So it's really changed my perspective of age. We're really privileged to get to this age sort of thing. So, and I feel that my business, I've had my second coming, I suppose, my mid-40s and everything like that. So I sort of wonder, I think a lot of my career, I haven't really had a career. Can I just sort of say that? Like,
you can say whatever you like. Everything.
My kids were born. So Mia's 19 this year, and we didn't really have maternity leave. We had no paid maternity leave and everything there. So when she was born too, I was working in Melbourne but commuting from Geelong. I can still remember driving in the car, driving past daycare centres on, City Road and all that type of stuff, thinking maybe I can take Mia in there, maybe I can't, sort of thing. And it just wasn't doable. We can't remote in, we can't, work from home. We couldn't do any of that then. So that was a real, totally different world as far as women's careers and everything like that. So before children and after children is a very different space for me in my life and everything like that. So I'm trying to think back what I've told you my first job was, and I think it was sanding tractors.
Yes, this is exactly.
Yeah. So my parents were actually farm machinery dealers. So long story short, my real parents divorced, and my mum and my stepfather came together, got married. They're like, what do we do? We've got, I know how to be a farmer and I'm pretty good with machinery and stuff like that. So he was really, like, when I think about it, they are really quite entrepreneurial for that time, I suppose, in the 80s. They identified that there was lots of people buying hobby farms but couldn't buy the $100,000 tractors and everything like that to run all those other machinery that they need to run these little farms and stuff like that. So he's like, how about I go to a clearing sale and pick up some tractors and some machinery and do them up, fix them up, know what I want to need to do, sort of thing. And that business boomed. Like, wow. It was, it was full on. It probably taught me a bit about, business, because business was 7 days a week. The farm machinery yard was attached to our house. The first time I couldn't answer the phone and say hello. I had to say hello, Grandpa Machinery. Like,
I love it.
Our home phone was the business phone, so it was always like, and you couldn't talk to your mates on the phone because those are the days that you rag each other on the phone and picked up the phone. You couldn't be long. My girlfriends now from that, who I'm still friends with, will say, how about how your mum used to yell in the background, wind it up, Lee, wind it up, because it was a business, like we were living the business. And I know a lot of people probably had that experience growing up in those family type of businesses where they're, attached to shops or things like that. But yeah, it sort of taught me, I suppose, secondhand a lot about business, I suppose, about what needs to be run, how you need to speak to clients and all that type of stuff. Yeah.
I just find it really interesting how, like you said, customer service, like that's just picking up the phone. And you learned that at such a young age.
Well, I learned it because Mum would be screaming at us kids to do something, and then it'd be, hello, Grandpa Machinery. Do you know what I mean? So it was just like, you can't let what's happening in your life affect the
Your
face of your business. I left school after year 11. I don't know. I still, to this day, don't really know why. I think I lacked confidence at that stage, or I just didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't feel purposeful, I suppose, at school. I had support, family support, but I didn't have family support of you must do year 12 and you must stay at school and you must,
Do you think that was a sign of the times in general?
Sign of the times, I think. Do you know what I mean? Of my girlfriends, I would say there's only one sort of of 5 that went to university. And when she came out of university, she couldn't get a job. So you're talking 1989, so early 90s, sort of that period. And there was a lot of kids my age coming out struggling to find work, which sort of isn't sort of heard of now. Do you know what I mean? They're just, you're going to uni, you're doing a degree, but there weren't the places for you to actually go and do that sort of thing. So I've sort of had conversations since with mum, why didn't you not push me? I think it might have been in response to her saying, why are you so structured with your children? Do you know what I mean? Or something around that sort of parenting issue. And I just said, I sort of have to show them a way of how to do things or lead them into a path. I said, as long as they do their best and they try, that's all that I really care about. I don't care if they're an A+ student or anything like that. But I said, I've got to show them a way or options or give them opportunities. So I do wonder what would have happened had I had a little bit of a push to see where I would have gone, sort of thing.
So just in saying that, Lee, you've got 3 teenage
daughters, 19, 16 and 15. So they all, education's been important to me for that reason. Talking about career, I'll get to it, of what I actually had to do you know what I mean, to actually educate myself with 3 young kids. That was tough, do you know what I mean, sort of thing. So I finished at year 11 and I got a job in a bank, which was success. If you got a job in a bank,
everyone wanted to work in a bank. You got a lifetime there.
That's right. You did so well. You get straight into a bank. Like it was just. And I must admit, it was a great experience. So I was underage, so 17. My poor mum used to have to try and drive me to the train station, and I remember the rules were I had to get her a cup of black coffee and not talk to her in the car. Because I was learning on my L's. She was just desperate for me to get my driver's license as soon as I turned 18 so that I could get on the train. And I worked at State Bank Victoria. So there's another blast from the past. Yeah. So I think in the first 1 or 2 years that I was there, it merged with Commonwealth Bank at that stage. But I worked at a branch called 385 Burke Street, which is that big branch right in the middle of Melbourne. So here's this little country kid on the train every morning at 6:10.
Heading to the big smoke.
Heading to the big smoke, getting out at Spencer Street, walking past, the bikies pubs and all that type of stuff. It was an amazing experience. Did that, but I didn't last too long on the cash. I wasn't a bad teller. I always tell people I wasn't a bad teller. They needed a manager secretary downstairs. So I worked for the senior. He was the senior bank manager. He wasn't just the bank manager.
That would have been quite a step up.
Yeah, it was. So I worked on the reception there and the manager secretary. So I worked in lending reception, which it was actually quite a stressful time in interest rates at that moment for, I think,
it would have been high.
It was 16 to 18% for mortgages and stuff like that. So quite often people were coming in financial distress, and it was really quite heartbreaking to watch that happen, sort of thing. And it was so I had to deal very quickly, I suppose, with reading the room. Do you know what I mean? And couldn't always be bubbly and happy. I just
being
had to
compassionate.
And you might have been worded up by the lending people, but like so and so's coming in now. we're going to take the house off them. Can you, we're going to can you just direct them straight to that room or something like that sort of thing. So I saw the gamut of that sort of unfolding and everything like that. So I'd help out the HR manager too. And I'll tell you what, that was really good to show the different styles of leadership needed for different roles. Like I still remember this HR manager saying she just was like mother hen. Do you know what I mean? She just had a beautiful nature and everything like that. Whereas, the lending manager was a different kettle of fish and stuff like that. So you sort of saw different leadership styles and why they were needed and good at their jobs. Do you know what I mean?
What personality traits helped in those roles?
Yeah. It's different sometimes if like you go into, let's say, an accounting firm, you're all accountants. Do you know what I mean? Whereas this was, you're a lending manager, or you're a senior bank manager, or you're the HR manager, or you're the foreign currency manager, or, just the different skills that are sort of needed. I think that type of business environment was very, this is my job and this is all I do. And probably in that era too, you weren't encouraged to go outside of the box with your thinking, or, like it was like, no, that's what's we've done forever and a day sort of thing. And now I think back, I may have been a little bit challenging as a younger person, because I would always say, but why? Do you know what I mean? Like,
there was the curiosity there.
Curiosity. Couldn't we do it another way? Like, I'm sure and that's curiosity, but also laziness too. I have found out in my DNA that being organised or administration and stuff like that, one of the key factors is you can be lazy, and that will actually make you put in systems, processes, setups and everything like that to actually do something quickly. Yeah.
Well, maybe then lazy isn't so bad after all.
It isn't so bad. Once I did that, I thought, I'm proud now. I'm proud because Dad had always given me a nickname of Lazy Liz, and I thought, I'm not lazy. But now I realise what he was saying is I can still remember as a little kid having conversations saying, but Dad, I want to do it this way or something. And Dad was probably a little bit, like you do it one way and that's the way that it's done sort of thing. Yeah. But I would always try and find a way to do it quicker, jobs quicker, things that I didn't want to do. Not cut corners, but, find ways and systems and strategies. And that was a bit challenging for Dad, I think, too. Do you know what I mean? That I sort of did that. So traveling on the train was taking its toll. I think I did that from 17 to 21, so 4 years up and down on the train. And then I got a job at a real estate membership network based out here in Geelong. It's called First National Real Estate. So everyone would probably still know that name. Yeah.
So were you still living at home, Lee, with all this through all this stage? What was happening at home?
On and off. Yeah. I was quite independent from an early age. The only time I moved back, I think, after I'd gone out sharing houses was to save money to buy a house myself, sort of thing.
So did you have that mentality? You get a job, save your money, buy a house. Was that like the big goal at that time for you financially?
I think so. My parents were not big. I have watching with the business, and their business was very seasonal. So you think about floods and droughts and everything that happen, that affects farmers. So they would have struggle with tax bills in the years that were maybe a drought, because they'd had a good year the year before. Do you know what I mean? Because of sort of things. So they were very big savers and stuff like that. And Mum has actually, and maybe it's through divorce as well, I think, that was like they were both bottomed out, and they were like, they've built up what they needed to build up, sort of thing. So, they both started a business with nothing as well. They weren't employed or anything like that. But they were very smart with their money and made very good property investment choices. It was always ingrained in, I don't know if it was really ingrained in me. I think because there was a period we were quite poor. We were really quite poor. there was never any, the only time I sort of got new clothes and stuff like that was maybe birthday and Christmas. I did know what my budget was, what I was allowed, this is how much we're spending. So I'm one of three, and my stepfather had four. So there's 7 kids to actually buy for, sort of thing as well. So I look back and I think, oh, maybe that was a bit mean, but I don't now. Like I go, no, that was smart. I always knew where I sat. I always knew what was true.
You learned the value of money very early.
Correct. I always knew that there was no extra money to go to do this. And if there was, like my parents had really tried to get that money to do that type of stuff.
The best
the only new items and stuff that came freely to me is when I started working myself. So I think that probably had that attachment of, which I sort of disagree with now. If you work, you'll always be rich. Do you know what I mean? I think my mindset has changed now, as far as you've got to build your work around your life. And your life
your definition of success has kind of changed.
Yeah. And I always say that I probably had a mind shift around money of the kids always say, oh, Lee Rushby, poor childhood stories. Do you know what I mean? Sort of thing. Because I'll say something like that, but I probably always had a bit of it could go quickly, or it could,
well, that's the thing. It's ingrained in us from childhood. So we're seeing our parents emotional feelings towards money, and we carry that with us. And if we want to change it later on to progress in the way we want to progress, we have to change it.
I explained this to Mum. Like, Mum was like, you've always got a new car. I go, that's because we do 100 Ks, we run around everywhere. But I said it doesn't serve us to have a car with 300,000 K, it doesn't serve us to own a car. Do you know what I mean? Sort of thing. And when I explained that, I go, look, Mum, I said, I think a lot of your money stories, I go, because she was saying, I wish I could go out and buy a new car. I go, you can go out and buy a new car. You can. I said, so you don't need to cry poor, because, Mum, you're not poor. Do you know what I mean? You're definitely not poor. But she was brought up by a mother who was brought up in an orphanage. And, it was actually given up to the orphanage in the Depression. So her and her sisters were put in the orphanage here in Geelong.
Wow.
Which is one of the reasons I ended up in Geelong. Mum said, I remember Geelong being a nice town. We sort of
where did you grow up then? What town?
Oh, so I went to 8 schools. I don't know if I've told.
My gosh,
yeah.
No.
So that's a bit of, I think that's why I'm very good at, I feel that I'm very good at reading people and working out the temperature of a room before I sort of say anything. My girlfriends have actually said, no, Lisa, people have said, Lee seems a little bit standoffish. She goes, no, she just needs to warm a bit. Do you know what I mean? And it's because I've been the new kid very long. So I was born in Melbourne at Cabrini, but my parents were on a farm in the Mallee, in a little place called Willangie. So it's just outside Woomalang. So Woomalang was my first primary school. Then we moved to Gippsland, to Seaspray, which is if you go through Sale and it's on the 90 Mile Beach. So my dad became sort of the farm manager for my grandparents' farm there in Seaspray. So I went to Longford Primary School, then I went to Seaspray Primary School. Then my parents split up and we went to Maffra, which is between Sale and Terrell sort of thing. So I was there for 6 months. Then I ended up at Grovedale Primary School here in Geelong. So I would have to go every summer holidays back down to my dad's. So again, the 80s, I think that was the only time Dad got leave. Do you know what I mean? And he had a council job and did all that type of stuff. So he did the best he could in the circumstances. It just wasn't easy to get to 4 or 5 hours away where we were. And I can still remember, so I went to Mandama Primary School, first. So this is where the story goes. And then I went on summer holidays and I came back and Mum goes, "You're not going to Mandama, we're moving house."
Oh,
And
wow.
the closest school, but we were moving house literally across the highway. But
You had to change schools.
I had to change schools because Mum goes, "Oh, that one's just a block away, whereas that one's 2 blocks away," sort of thing. So,
and in those days, there was more primary schools than there are now.
There was no Facebook. There was no, I couldn't tell these kids.
Yeah. Oh, you just left.
I just left. And the reason, but I caught up with them halfway through the year. I didn't know people's phone numbers. Like I think even in those days, I don't even know if I knew their surnames. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I know. Friends, but as that age group was different.
Yeah, it was grade 5 or grade 6. Like, I don't know if I knew people's names or anything like that. But I remember, how you used to play sport at school. You'd have t-ball. Yes. Or you'd have softball and stuff like that. Well, my old school came to play t-ball. They go, "There you are," sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? But it was
a reunion.
Yeah. But and then I went to high school, and I didn't move high schools. I was there for 5 years, so that was okay, sort of thing.
That's really interesting, Lee, because like I live in the suburb that I grew up in.
Yeah.
I only ever went to one thing, and now my kids go to those schools that I went to, and I just can't imagine what that would have been like for a child.
I don't know if
resilience, is that what they call
resilience?
Yeah.
But I don't think maybe also parents were as had emotional skills or tools to, it was just like, that's just got to happen, rather than, "Hey, Lee, just want to let you know that thing." And then I remember saying to Mum, "Why didn't you tell me I was leaving school?" She goes, and then you find out these things years and years later. She's like, "I did actually ask your dad could he, meet me?" Because I literally had to meet halfway and do the drop off, and they were like, "Could he bring you back, 2 weeks early so I could actually take you up to the school and make thing?" And he refused. And, God bless her, she didn't get me involved in all that type of stuff. But I probably harbored resentment for Mum for years, thinking, how cruel was that? Yeah. When really I found out there was, something else in it, sort of thing. So
but I think that's it's also a generational thing where like our parents didn't parent the way we parent. But that was normal for that time. Like that wasn't
that's right.
That wasn't different to anyone else.
Yeah, they didn't have opportunities, I feel, to learn different behaviours, whereas we do. We can jump on a workshop. We can follow someone on Instagram who's a parenting coach. We can, if we're thinking about separation or divorce and stuff like that, we can find the tools to help us out with that, whereas that wasn't available.
That's right.
There was no internet. Yeah. There was no thing. And, I remember the cost of phone calls were quite dear. So I couldn't just pick up the phone and ring up my dad anytime.
Yeah. STD calls.
It was an STD call. Yeah. Like it was ingrained that, Dad would only call on a certain, maybe that was part of the parenting arrangements too. Dad would only call on a Sunday at whatever time, once a month or something like that. It was quite hard. And Dad passed away last year, but I've got all the letters back that I wrote to him.
Oh,
and
he kept them all.
He kept them all, so it's quite special. It was really hard to read through them. So my dad was an alcoholic, so he stopped drinking in my early 20s. So our relationship changed then. Yeah, but growing up, it was not rosy at times, sort of thing. And me being the oldest of my siblings, I say to Mum, and I've had these conversations since Dad passed, I said it was really hard. You'd sort of grab me by the shoulders and say, "You got to look after the others," and that was quite a big.
That's a lot of responsibility.
Thing. Yeah. And it was sort of tough at times, like trying to deal with all that. But, like in the letter writing to Dad and just say, can we have a holiday with you that we don't, you're not drinking and all that type of stuff. I wish I didn't have to write that, and I wish I didn't have to experience that, but that's it. I feel okay that I've had, trauma in my life. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel that it has made me look at the world a lot not so black and white,
Yep.
Love everyone a little bit harder. I really think that we are products of our environments, good and bad, and we
Yep.
have opportunities to learn from them, to forgive, to
That's
do
right.
things differently, and that's probably come with age for me. Yeah, and I think that, I look back at a 20 to 25, probably before kids me, was a whole different mindset about that. I was really like, but why sort of thing, and now, I can remember being in an office, older office lady with another one, and then a younger junior saying, but what, oh, that would never happen, da da da. And both of us old ladies sitting back going, nothing is black and white. There's a lot of grey in the world.
The voice of experience there.
Yeah, sort of thing. Oh yeah, I got a job in Geelong.
Yeah.
And this was an exciting bit. So it was the pre-company, the precursor to the Cotton On Group. So it was the business started by the founder of Cotton On, his father and his uncle, and 3 other guys started this business called Austin Group. And what they were it was clothing wholesalers.
Mm-hmm.
But what they were previous Target buyers and Treasury. Do you remember Treasury?
I do remember. I think my mum used to shop in Treasury and Venture. Yes, I remember walking through Venture, getting my tracksuits.
Yeah. So they were previous buyers for that type of business, and then they worked out, hang on, we can do this for other businesses, smaller retailers, buying groups. I'm trying to think, you'd go to a trade fair and you'd order with Austin Group, and you'd order their menswear and their ladies' wear and their kids' wear and homewares and stuff like that. So got a job there. There were sort of 2 EAs sort of working there, and I supported sort of the finance and HR, and she did the MDs, but we all sort of worked together sort of thing. So that was an exciting time.
I was going to say, because that would have been a really good opportunity to kind of observe how these sort of operations run, and working so closely with those high up.
Yeah, some of it wasn't great to observe.
Yeah,
like some, when sales were down and stuff like that. I gotta say, sometimes it was a bit scary hearing the yelling coming out of the rooms and stuff like that. But knowing the person who it was all front, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? It was
the person behind the
And some of the things that they were getting angry about, I would have got angry about had I been in their position too. Do you know what I mean? Sort of thing. But it was really big coming. There's still people I know today through my kids' sport and stuff like that who all started there. So I've had a lot of jobs. This is the thing. So this is all before.
It's really interesting because you're kind of seeing how each job, what you took away from it.
Yeah. So Austin Group gave me the opportunity to actually move into product development. So I was working in the homeware section, the homewares division. I actually got to go to China and Hong Kong and go to the factories and check production and do all that type of stuff. So that was a fairly demanding job as far as deadlines.
Was that the most pressure job you'd had, like the highest pressure job?
That was really, really high pressure, high pressure, that one there. God, I'm trying to think where I went next.
How old were you by now? How many years have we gone?
I think 27, 28. I was in my mid-20s. I'm just trying to think.
Family, nothing.
So no, I think I scared boys.
Independent.
No, I'd had some long-term relationships and stuff like that, but I think around that time I didn't have a boyfriend. I had a lot of friends. I enjoyed the social life that I had and stuff like that. But it was lonely, I must admit. But I saved up enough money to buy a house. Wow. So, as a single female, and I'll tell you a bit of story about that, is that, I'd saved up the deposit, moved back with mum, done all that type of stuff. Mum said, you can only boomerang back once. That was the thing. So it's like that encouraged you to save. It's like, oh my God, if I don't save this money, thing. So
it's now or never. If it doesn't happen,
my budget to buy the house was 80 grand. So can you imagine that? Like 80
so
grand.
different to
And
today.
This is 2000. This is 2000. So 80 grand. And I put in an offer for this little house, 2-bedroom house. I don't think I needed to do much work to it, sort of thing. But the real estate agent basically said to me, I'm not going to put your offer forward because you're a single female. And the owners, I think I'd feel more comfortable putting forward the offer for the married couple. That's the same to yours, sort of thing. So thank you, but no thank you. Like, said it to my face.
Jeez.
And then he rings me 2 weeks later to say that it had fallen through. Was I still interested? I was just
the nerve
of that thing. But anyway, in between, I'd actually found a house. It was it was above my budget, and I got in trouble off Mum. It was 104,000 or something like that. So Mum would gone overseas to the US. I think one of the first trips that they'd gone on, sort of thing, post kids. And she said, whatever you do, do not buy a house. You cannot buy a house without me seeing it, without, thing. I go, yep, Mum. I didn't tell her that I'd booked in an inspection.
So you bought a house without your mum?
I bought a house without my mum, and I can still remember showing her through it, like say, can I show Mum through it? Like I'd already signed the documents and all that type of stuff.
It was all done. She couldn't change
it. Couldn't do all that. But even I was discriminated at the bank as well, going for the loan. She was a female, and I'd had previous loans for a land loan there, paid that off. I'd, done the right thing.
Yeah. So you had history, good history.
I had history with them and stuff like that. I've been working all the time. There was no breaks or anything like that. I'd established in my job at Aston Group. I think I've been there 2 or 3 years. Like, it was all well and good. And she said, unfortunately, we're going to require, I must have had a 15% deposit or something like that. We're going to require 30% because you are unmarried and you might be able to service the loan if you fall pregnant. And I can still remember thinking, I don't know if I was so aware about females and males, that type of discrimination, but I just remember being very hurt and but now, if that happened in today's now and age, it just wouldn't happen. Do you know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't be like,
they wouldn't dare say that these days.
They wouldn't dare say that. So, and I can still remember thinking, okay, what can I do? And I must have, Rams might have just started.
Yes.
So 2000 or something like that. I rang him up and I said the situation. He goes, no, you only need 10%. Thing. I reckon I had that loan in a week. They just sort of started it, and it was really, really quite great experience. I was really thinking, oh my God, do I really need to be married before I can actually do anything? Do you know what I mean? Like, it was really quite sort of sold the story there, I suppose, sort of thing. So moved into my little house, and then lost my job with Austin Group. Got retrenched. They closed the division and everything like that. So that got money paid out and stuff like that. But it was, I think that was 6 months after I'd got the mortgage.
Gosh.
So
scary time.
But managed to find a job again at Canning Vale Weaving Mills. So they were located up in Melbourne. Commuted, loved it, did a similar type work than what I was doing at Austin Group, and then became pregnant with Mia. So so that was the end of corporate life, I suppose. At that stage.
Any inklings, Lee, along that journey before, or maybe just when you felt pregnant, you might have started thinking about it, about doing something for yourself, or none at all?
None at all. None at all. Didn't really think about it at all.
Did you want to be a stay-at-home mum? Was that what you wanted, like, could see for yourself?
I didn't I didn't even know if I was going to be maternal. I'd
Yeah.
never really even thought about it. You know, we weren't trying for children. Yes, she was happy, mistake sort of thing. But, you know, I just didn't know. I didn't know. I knew it would be, I can still remember Jason saying to me when they was a week old, I'm quite amazed at how loving you are. I'm thinking, oh, God, right, it's that hard. But he
What are you
said,
saying?
I go, what? He
Yeah.
goes, no, because he didn't have any little kids around him. I didn't have any little kids around. You know, we didn't have any family members having.
Yeah.
They, you know, were the first of our friendship group to have kids and stuff like that. So it was a strange time. And I still don't. I didn't know whether I was going to take a year off. Do you know what I mean? And see how it went.
Yeah.
And as it was, I didn't go back to that job. Do you know what I mean? I just didn't feel comfortable putting her into daycare and doing all that.
Would have been a long commute, etc., etc.
Yeah, yeah. But then in that maternity, that's then when an idea sparked that maybe I could run a business, and I bought a franchise, which was called Belly Button Maternity. I don't know if it's still around, and that was fraught with danger. I had the shop for 2 years, but
so shop front. I would have been a shop front retail.
Shop front, yeah. We had production supply issues, which meant that I couldn't go and source any product outside of the brand, which meant I had at some stage a shop that didn't have any stock. So it was quite a challenging time. With that. So I always said I'd never have another business again after that. That was a big lesson, and it hurt. It hurt a lot. It hurt, you know, confidence sucking, soul destroying.
Everything.
And because I had a family as well, I was like, I've risked a lot here. Do you know what I mean? I've risked everything. So closed up the shop, became a housewife because I had to become a housewife because my husband got moved to Gippsland for his work. He got a job down there. So we moved to Warragul for, I think it was nearly 2 years. I had another baby in that time. I can still remember coming back to Geelong and people going, did you have 2 kids?
You've multiplied.
So I had 3 kids under 4 at one stage. So that was a little bit crazy times and stuff like that. But I potted around, bit of a pause. I probably then had no idea, still had no idea what was actually in for me or what my direction would be. Yeah. Then I went back to bag telling.
Full circle, Lee.
Oh my God.
What a full circle.
So again, trying to find jobs around kids. It was just a nightmare. Just couldn't find anything. I'm just trying to think whether.
Were you going back full time? Was it a full time role you were going into?
So it was a relief teller. I can still remember I was feeding Georgie. I know that I was getting up at 5 o'clock. Basically, she was waking. I was feeding her. I was having a shower, putting a full face of makeup down, and I had to be ready at 7:30 to receive a text on my phone of whether I'd got work or because it was relief, I would only be sent to. So I was the relief for this area. I would get a note saying you need to go to Anglesea. Someone's sick today, or you need to go to. So I would have like stints where I was being Torquay over summertime where they needed extra staff. I'd go to Ocean Grove, or I'd go to things. And I think I got a stint at Geelong West, and they're like, "Oh, do you want to stay permanently?" And I go, it's part-time. You'll be able to, you know, do all this stuff. Yeah. It was good. It paid the bills.
It did what it needed to do.
An opportunity came up to work with a female CEO of the Chamber of Commerce. And I had watched this lady throughout the years in her various roles of what she's done. And I was like, I really want to work. I really want to know her. It was a great job and I loved it. However, there became a week in my role where I realised I hadn't seen the kids for 4 days.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I was getting up to do an early morning committee meeting, or I was staying late at night, and then there was like a chamber function, one of those big networking events, and then I had another one in the morning, and it got to Thursday and I've gone, it's not working.
Yeah.
Jason was trying to pick up some of the slack where he could. I was burdening him as well as me, do you know what I mean? But it
wasn't good for the family.
Yeah. So I resigned, and I basically said, there is nothing wrong with this position. There is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with this organisation. It's me, and it's where I am at my parenting journey and stuff like that. I said, had I been now, it'd be way different ballgame.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But my kids were just too young, and I was missing too much with them, sort of thing. So I resigned, but I was also approached at the same time. Like someone had from my previous accounting firm was starting up their own accounting firm, and they were doing it differently. They were not focusing on billable hours. They were mainly wanting to work face-to-face with clients. They felt they were losing. So that's why the ethos of why they started their firm.
Yep.
And I came to help them start up. So it was really fabulous being involved in a startup.
I was going to say that you're really part of the team.
Yeah. But the thing was is that we sort of had a bit of a saying of just because we did it like this at so-and-so, is this the best way to do it? Yeah. And that was happening every day. Like it was an amazing.
And that would have been perfect for you. Because you was like, well, why don't we do it this way? Why can't we improve it and change
it? But again, then we slid into the black and whites, and this is how we do things, and started getting bored. But also I got sick at that time too. So back at my previous year, I had a couple of surgeries and stuff like that. I always put work before health. Looking back, had I not put work before health, might have been a different situation. I might have had another child. I might have, like all this other stuff. Yeah.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Yep.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Yeah. But anyway, the coulda hit.
Yeah.
I had chronic exhaustion breakdown. I couldn't talk. I had that worst brain fog. Everything felt electric, like tingly all the time. I felt like, not like I was going to have a heart attack, but just everything was just, I just felt like I was scrunched up the whole time.
Like on edge the whole time?
Yeah, on edge, wasn't sleeping.
Yeah.
Couldn't, and then that started affecting my speech. My confidence was getting shredded. I couldn't even remember to say the word pen in a meeting once. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, and Jason, I'd come home, Jason goes, you can't even talk. You can't even, I couldn't remember the kids. Like I knew something was going on. And it was chronic exhaustion. And I took 4 months off from that work, from the job. But during that time, I had to do a lot of soul searching, a lot of healing, and work out what was I going to do. The doctor had said, you've fried everything basically through exhaustion, through menopause. It was severe menopause symptoms that went unaddressed because I was too young, I think. The literature kept telling me that I was too young, but I had surgical menopause, which meant that I have no ovaries or uterus, so you go bang into menopause symptoms. And I had people saying, don't take HRT because you'll get cancer, all this type of stuff. So I was avoiding dealing with the situation. Was having constant hot flushes, and I finally ended up with an endocrinologist who said, if your symptoms are 1 to 10, you're 11. So, like you've done a really good job on yourself, basically, of thing. Because it was just like, I was supposed to enjoy menopause and do some yoga and that, but I had 3 kids, and during that time, I was studying.
Because you didn't have enough on your plate there, Lee. Why not add something else? Come on.
No. So, yeah, I studied 2 nights a week at TAFE from 6 till 9 doing business management and HR management. So I did that for, it was for 18 months. It was supposed to be 12 months, but it got extended because I had to have time off for surgeries and stuff like that. So it was definitely not study out of a Wheaties box. Like I didn't pay. You know, I actually had to sit and go to class, and that I think I vomited the first night before. I know it was only TAFE, it wasn't uni or anything like that. But the last time I was in school, I left school and I'd have this chip on my shoulder that I hadn't finished school. And, you know, Jason's going, you'll be fine. I'll help you. You know, he's gone to uni. He still studies. He goes, I'll show you how to study. Like, I go, what if I can't? Like, it was just like, I was just like, but once I got into it, I realized this is stuff that I have learned naturally.
Yeah,
being
I was going to say, you already
business.
had all that experience. This is just a piece of paper that's saying that you know
that's right. It was just harnessing the theories and the why and explaining things and other things that I might have learnt in one type of industry type, but then I learned how it affects others and stuff like that sort of thing. So that was part of the exhaustion breakdown too, sort of thing. So the reason I want my kids to finish school is so that they saw me studying, they saw me locked in the, you know, trying to do all the extra stuff to do it. So they know that not there's pressure on, like I want them to find what they love doing earlier than me. Do you know what I mean? Like I want them to find something, but I just want them to do well. I don't want them to struggle like I did. You know, yes, I've had a varied career lifetime and stuff like that. So, but blessings, always silver lining.
There's always learnings, right?
If I did not get sick, my husband wouldn't set me to Bali by myself for a week. So
gosh, you got a good one there.
But I literally had that just space to think. Oh my God, no interruptions, no, you know, like it was just me. That was scary itself too, because I was always grabbing kids' hands and looking, you know, here I was. Jason was always there wherever we went on a holiday or something like that. And here I was, a solo traveller for the first time. I'd never traveled. I never traveled. It was never, so back in my era, getting a job, whether it was, you know, a professional job like a teacher or an accountant, but having a job, you couldn't give it up to go traveling and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Like I went to attempt to try and do it, and Mum talked me out of it and said, you know, you've got to secure. It wasn't talked about a career, it was just a secure job. And that fear of what if I go traveling and have got nothing to go back to, or, you know, the sort of thing. So that was put into it. So traveling to Bali, and that's where I came up with the idea that maybe I could do some admin from home. Do you know what I mean? Like we have the internet now.
We don't have dial-up internet anymore. We have proper internet.
We have emails, you know, all that type of stuff. I'm like, maybe I could do something. Do you know what I mean? Something. So I think I put a Facebook post up and said, hi, just letting you know that I'm doing some admin from home. If anyone's looking for some support, I know you know how I work, or something like that. And I think I had a job within that week from the Chamber of Commerce, the girl who was running their smart business program. So she said, I just need someone to update the website with all the events, networking events, all the workshops that are happening in our region. She goes, it takes me off the time that I have to do things. Could you do that? And I think it was 3 hours a week or something like that. And it was perfect. It gave me the confidence that maybe this is a job. Do you know what I mean? Maybe
there's something in this.
Because I don't think it was the only freelancing type of work I had heard about was graphic designers or, you know, copywriters or those type of businesses where they'd gone from like agencies, I suppose, and then gone out on their own to do that type of stuff. VAs I had heard of sort of, I think once I sort of thinking, what is this term? Like, what am I doing? it was, VAs were in America, but they were always offshore VAs, probably our experience of what we would have here, sort of thing. So that's when I had this sort of idea: is it a VA that you see face to face? So it wasn't until COVID hit that I would actually get on a Zoom call and speak to someone.
Okay, yeah. So very much in person before that.
Very much in person. Very much thought, why? Probably confidence too. Why would someone want to work with a person in Geelong when they're in Melbourne?
Yeah.
Now if I look
country
at my
city,
list now,
it's different.
if I look at my client list now, I might have 1 or 2 Geelong clients. You're all over. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just, that was a mindset.
But that's the thing. But I was going to say that was something that you felt within yourself.
Yeah.
Because years of being ingrained, you're a country girl, whatever, etc., etc. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
To work through it.
So that's the journey.
It's a hell of a journey, Lee.
It's a hell of a journey. Yeah. And it's not over.
No, I was going to say, and now you lead your own team.
Yes. Yeah. But even then, the way that it is today is not what you're going to see in 5 years, I can tell you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I could already see what it's going to look like. And, I'm making those steps behind the scene. You got to remember too that I'm 50. I've been working since I'm 17.
Yeah.
I can't, there's got to be some stage that I start doing some stuff for myself regularly.
Stepping back a
Do you know
little
what I
bit.
mean? Yeah. It was a big goal before COVID for my husband and I to get to the stage that maybe we could go work overseas, live overseas for a couple of months a year and work and have the structures and all that type of stuff. That's very big for me. I sort of think, my kids, they'll be having babies in the next 10 years, maybe, no pressure. If they ever watch this or listen to this, there's no pressure. But do you know what I mean? Like how is that going to fit in with the business? How does life look?
I was going to say, how does the business fit into the life, not the life fit into the business?
And that's exactly what I'm really, really important for me working with clients is, like we don't have 38, 40 hour week. We just don't. We're mothers, we're, carers, we're training for marathons. We've got to design our work to fit around our life, but make sure that it's not a hobby, that we're actually earning the income that we need, and we're designing the work so you aren't frazzled, so you aren't, picking up the kids from school and then jumping on for another 5 hours. If you choose to do that, that's okay. I've made a decision this year to have Wednesdays, every fortnight Wednesdays off, half a day to be with my mum. My mum's not well. I missed out on that opportunity with Dad. I'm like, if I can't take that fortnight catch up and mark that out, I won't forgive myself. Do you know what I mean? It's doable. All I need to do is structure my work around that commitment. I tell my clients to do it. I need to do it. And I've done it. Right. And now every time, I sit down and I have brekkie with Mum, I'm like, how good does this feel? Do you know what I mean? Like, I go, I'm willing to work later those other days and catch up on the week, like to have that
do whatever
time.
You need to have that time.
Yeah.
That's the priority. And I'll do whatever I need to get that priority. Yeah.
Correct.
Isn't it interesting how our work ethic changes like that? Like this year for me, Fridays are my day off. Yeah. And I have always said Fridays are my day off, Lee, but I've never stuck to it. But this year I'm like,
do you know what? I think it's the experience of what we've gone through the last 2 years. We've really worked out what's important to us and what's not. Do you know what I mean? And we value ourselves, I think, a whole lot more, and our lives and our families and, quality of life. We've seen a lot. We've lived through a lot. Even if you weren't impacted, you were impacted. Do you know what I mean? My mum was put into hospital in Melbourne, stage 4 lockdowns. We were hearing, I'll never get over that trauma of not being able to see Mum, not being able to hold her hand, all those, how many things have we gone through? So I think that permission slip granted for all of us to live the lives that we want to live.
Yeah.
Like, it's really important that we, you
Yeah.
know, at least 80% plan it to happen that way. There's going to be a Friday that maybe you can't do it. Do you know what I mean? But at least you go, well, I've had those other 20 Fridays.
That's right.
So, you know, like,
and being kind to ourselves in those instances,
yeah,
and not beating ourselves up over particular things.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of pressure on us to be perfect and be, you know, oh, you're such a superwoman, you're doing this, you're doing that. You know, I walked away from something quite big this year. I'd always been involved in sport, and things just weren't sitting culturally aligning with me, and a lot of me was tied up in that identity of being the face of that sport or club and stuff like that, and people would ask me about it and all that type of stuff, but things weren't sitting comfortable with me. And even Jason said, he goes, I can't believe you resigned and walked away after 10 years. And I go, Jason, it wasn't serving me, and I couldn't smile. I'm not a fake person. I can't smile and say everything's okay when it's not, when it's ingrained in me. It's not, I don't believe in the values of what it is type thing. So I said, there's I think I might have actually said life's too short for me to give away my energy and feel icky. Like there was a few icky moments in the last year that hadn't sit well with me, and I put it out on the table and just said, is this going to change? Is it not? And when it was not going to change, I just said, okay, thank you. I've enjoyed my time.
It's time to move
See you
on.
later. Yeah.
Isn't that is such a powerful moment, Lee? I know it's hard, and I know there's so many emotions that go through.
I cried. I did. I was gutted. I was cried, but I thought, no, I've put it out there. I've asked, is this the way that it is? You know, the answer was given, and it doesn't align. Sort of thing. So it gutted, cried, but now that I'm probably 2 months out of doing what I'd always done, I don't regret it. I miss it a little bit, but I don't regret it. I really feel that it was the right decision and time.
And how amazing for your daughters to see you go through these motions, not just about like work stuff and career, but in this role that you had that you love so much, but when something was not aligned with you as a person and your beliefs, etc., how amazing for them to see that in you, because you know what I mean? I just think it's beautiful.
I said to them, now look, this is the situation. I don't agree with it. It's involved in sport. So one of my children still plays sport there. Do you know what I mean? So I said, I will just be a mum. You know, I won't be involved in any of the decision making, blah, blah, blah. You can't ask me about this, that. So
I'm not involved.
You're not going to have the inside word on nothing anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like it's thing. And I think, it's good for them to see that I've stuck to my guns and that had strong convictions and beliefs, and that it would have been very easy to just go, I don't like it, but I don't want to let anyone down, but I'd only be letting myself down.
That's right. And you would have had to carry that with you.
Yeah.
How beautiful, Lee. And your daughters, are they, you know, entrepreneurial, as they say? Do you see that in them?
Yeah, George,
are they curious?
My youngest, they're all different. So 3 girls, very, very different. Mia is in second year of university. She's going to be a speech pathologist. She has helped me with doing some admin. And she said, I know, Mum, I can't do what you do. Sit at the desk all day and talk on a Zoom. I go, sometimes I can't either. But, you know, that is. But she feels that she needs to help people. And I think that I've shown them that you can't complain about things. If you're going to complain, especially volunteering, stuff like that, I go, you have to give back to your community. So, you know, what these girls have all coached their little under 11 teammates and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? As they've got older and stuff, said it's it's just something you got to do. You got to help your community and stuff like that. Second one's doing year 12 at the moment. They're all workers. They're all.
I was going to say hardworking. Good work ethic.
I've been very careful to show them how to control their money, set up different bank accounts, save, third of this, budget, all that type of stuff. It's good that they're working now because I don't have to fork out as much stuff. I think they know if they want to.
But they know the value of the dollar.
Yeah. So Mia's up in uni. She's doing 2 jobs up there, to try and keep afloat. I gave her the family budget. I said, so I'll show you how mum and dad do it. Okay, so here's our version. She died when she saw all the items that, insurances, rates, all this stuff. She goes, do you have to pay all of that and pay our school? Had paid our school? I go, yes, we did. Sort of thing. So we've made her a simple version of it, and she likes it. Do you know what I mean? She knows where her money goes and all that type of stuff. Georgie, both Georgie and Soph work in a coffee shop, but we call Georgie the general manager of the coffee shop because
she's her mother's daughter.
she goes, right, oh, it was such a hard day, at the coffee shop today. It's one of those drive-through coffee shops. Oh, so-and-so didn't do their prep work. I'm going to have to leave a note for them, like it.
Love it.
She's not even 16 yet, sort of thing. She's being paid. I don't know. It's like her older sister gets paid more because of her age. Like I forget what the thing is, but she's so diligent, and like you have to turn that into something. Do you know what I mean? Like
she's got something there.
She's always the organizer. She's always like, Mum, I'm ringing you because Dad said to tell you that. Like, so she's probably a little bit of a mini me, seeing it sort of thing. But I hope my biggest thing is, and that was the thing with, I used to hate getting up and public speaking. I would hate doing this type of stuff. I would hate, it's the thing, but I'm like, if I don't show my kids that it's okay to do this stuff and that you have to stand up and give awards or talk about, things and all that type of stuff, I've just got to step into it. Do you know what I mean? I've got to show people, and I've got to show other girls too to do it as well, sort of thing. So I'm a netball league manager, and I'll get up on a stage in front of 1,000 people and talk about the season and development, whereas I couldn't done that. Young league couldn't have done that, I don't think. Like it's just, I think when you've got a passion or a knowledge, that helps you with your confidence, or my big thing is helping clients become confident, because it's confidence or courage a lot of the time with clients stopping them from doing stuff. And I love that I know that I'm a little bit of a part of helping them get there. Do you know what I mean? Or fixing up the systems so that they can book online appointments, and everything's going to work nicely for them, or they know where to find things and all that type of stuff. So just lifting women, exactly why you do what you do, and I think that a lot of our members are like that too. Do you know what I mean? Like in this community, like it's all, we may be a little bit quieter than our men folk, but it's exciting times.
That's right. And there's nothing wrong in doing it our way. We've just got to take ownership of it.
That's right. I think I posted about the war. I just finished reading a book about, it's called The End of Men. And it was basically, it was ironic. The lady had written at the start, said, I actually wrote this 6 months before the COVID pandemic, and it was about a virus that was wiping out males. But then it talked about, it went into the years after, about how all the women had to step up into these leadership positions, and even China, and they were all, I'm sure there was something like they all got rid of nuclear warheads. They'd all made an agreement to, and how I just said, wouldn't it be nice? Just give us a year.
How different the world would be.
Putting a female in every power position, like to make those decisions. Could you imagine? Like, and I just said, let it rip.
You know what the sad thing is? I can't imagine. That's the sad thing. It's like,
I
I
know.
can't imagine it.
I know. And that is the sad thing, you know.
Yeah.
It is, it'd be lovely to see something like, but, you know, I'm sitting now thinking about Lee applying for a loan and being told she was a female, and she might get pregnant. Was a reason not to lend, or you had to come up with, I think it might have been mid 30% deposit.
Yeah.
Because I was so high risk, because I was a female. So high risk.
Well, I'm happy to report, Lee, because I purchased my property single.
Yeah.
And I did not get asked that question. So there has been progress.
Yes.
And that was probably, good. That was probably about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So there is progress. There's progress happening, and I think we're all doing our bit to. We'll have
every little bit.
There.
Yeah, every little bit.
And, you know, your girls will have a whole different world when they're our age.
Yeah.
And what they present to their children, etc. So.
Yeah. Let's hope the world's a nicer place than it is at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll get there. But that's the journey, and it hasn't stopped yet.
I love it.
We'll have
part two of Lee.
Yeah. Part 2.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Like it's weird going backwards.
Yeah. But do you feel like, you know, I've touched on this earlier, how everything has all made you who you are now? Like every experience, every job has shaped you, has shaped your business, has shaped your life.
Yeah. I'm a big believer, like, as I said, of experiences will shape you. And it's not a bad life, it's a bad day. Do you know what I mean? Like there's things, I believe you have to go through things to get to things.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I'm very resilient. But then sometimes maybe it might make me a little bit cold too. Do you know what I mean? That I'm sometimes the kids, but we could be too, you know, I've read something, one of my clients is a family therapist, a psychologist, and I was a very big on, as soon as they get home, how was your day? What did you do? Who did you talk to? You know, did you get this done? Like talking about how kids just want to walk in. They've been really good all day. They've been on their best behaviour.
Yeah.
They've had to be polite. They've had the thing, and then they're just getting barraged at the door. You know, like that. We need a soft landing for them. We need them to just come in. Thing, and I said to the girls, I go, have I been too intense asking you? Like, whereas I'm thinking, oh my God, they've just walked in the door. I've been on the computer all day. I'll quickly run out and chat to them because I've got to jump onto another Zoom call, or I've got to do an exec meeting tonight, you know. I haven't told them that that's the reason I'm barraging it, but I've now worked out that I've just got to pick my moments and all that type of stuff with them, sort of thing. But
we're all learning as we go, aren't we, Lee?
I don't think you ever stop.
And each milestone with our kids, we learn a bit more.
Yeah. No, my kids have been okay. They've given me some grey hairs, but you know, they're okay. They're
and they will be okay. They're hardworking. They're great role models.
I haven't held them back. Oh, what is it? You've got to build a ship, but you've got to let them out of the harbour. Do you know what I mean? Like a ship is not built to stay in the harbour, and I feel that with the kids. You know, like I know I'm going to be. I am devastated with me being up in Melbourne more and more. Do you know what I mean? But you know, and I know that it's going to happen next year with Sophie. Do you know what I mean? Like it's those little letting goes that I have to do. So my life is changing into its next version, sort of
another stage. Another chapter.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to the next chapters, Lee. Like I said, part 2 coming to the airwaves soon.
You gotta wait a few years for me to change it again.
We'll still be here. What are you talking about?
See how many other jobs I've had to flip into.
Well, you might be a lady of leisure by then, so we'll see.
Never been a lady of leisure. I wouldn't know what to do myself.
I know. I'll be there twiddling my thumbs going, what can I do? What can I do? I'll go crazy.
I know, it's weird. No, it'd be good if you could have half lady leisure, half work. That would be that's the goal, perfect. Is to still have a business that you can not dip into, but you have that overarching sort of oversight, do what you need to do, but you've got to really build really good systems and structures for the team to run it, and be available when you need to, but also be available to yourself.
That's right. You're on the priority list too.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you so much, Lee. I have so
Thank
enjoyed
you.
this conversation. Like I knew
I
a
hope
little
I
bit.
haven't. I hope
now
I
I know
haven't
a
got
lot.
off onto. I know.
No, but I think it's your journey.
Yeah,
That's
it's
what's formed where you are. So I really appreciate you sharing it with us.
It's a different one.
Well, thank you for your time this morning, Lee.
Thank you.
Thank you to everyone for joining us. I'm so hoping that you enjoyed Lee's story as much as I did. And we will chat to you again soon. See you later.
Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode of the She Will Shine podcast, we invite you to check out shewillshine.com.au. She Will Shine is the essential support network you need to grow a thriving, meaningful business. We can help you grow your network, connect and develop genuine relationships, be supported and support others in building and growing a successful business on your terms. Say goodbye to working alone and become a member at shewillshine.com.au.